At a museum in Key West, letters still arrive for this doll every day. Years ago, the curator who reads them estimated 1 to 3 letters a day, more than 1,000 cataloged. Many of them are apologies. Here's the strange part. There is no verified historical record from his own era of Robert ever moving, speaking, or harming anyone. The letters are documented. The curse is much harder to trace. And if you trace where the fear actually came from, it leads somewhere stranger than the story the tours tell. Fort East Martello, Key West. A Civil War fort abandoned unfinished after no battle ever reached Key West. Donated to the museum in 1994, its best-known resident now sits behind alarm glass, a 40-inch doll in a faded sailor suit holding a toy lion. Visitors get one instruction before raising a camera: ask Robert's permission first. The story goes that if his head tilts, the answer is no. It sounds easy to laugh at the rule from a distance. Standing at the case is different. To understand why, start with what's actually in the record. It's less than you'd think and more interesting. Robert Eugene Otto, Gene, born in Key West, October 25, 1900. The census finds him at his family's house on Eaton Street as a boy. The house is still there. You can sleep in it tonight. The doll is real too, and stranger than the legend. A Stife historian later identified Robert as likely a one-off window display doll, an unusual object, not an ordinary child's toy. The sailor suit? Probably Gene's own childhood outfit. And the family story says that when things broke in that house, young Gene had one answer: I didn't do it, Robert did it. So where does the curse come in? Here is where the record gets quiet, and the quiet is the story. You've probably heard the famous version: a Bahamian servant, wronged by the family, cursing the doll before she left. Here's what can actually be established. There is no known record of a curse from the family's own time. William and Emmeline Abbott were real Key West residents, later linked to the Otto estate in public records. But no located record shows that Emmeline gave Gene the doll, cursed it, or practiced the rituals later assigned to her. The doll's likely German origin and its value complicate the servant gift story further. And today the museum's own online exhibit page names no servant at all. It calls voodoo something legend speculates about. So if the curse wasn't written down in Gene's lifetime, when does it first appear? We can actually date that. Gene Otto died in June 1974. In everything located from his lifetime, there's no printed word of a haunting. The earliest newspaper telling researchers have located comes 11 years later, August 1985, in Florida's Fort Lauderdale News, a ghost story roundup where the doll is said to have come from a girl his parents had helped raise. By 1996, the Miami Herald tells it differently. Now she's a Haitian or Bahamian girl, and even the doll's birth year has moved. That same year, David Sloan launched what his company describes as Key West's first ghost tour. After that came books, television, films, tours, and the letters. Tales hardened, others kept changing. Watch the dates. The documented curse story does not come from Gene's childhood. It takes shape after his death and grows toward us. And the people who lived with the doll fed it too. Gene grew up to be a painter, and by the accounts the museum preserves, he kept Robert into adulthood, even giving him a turret room with a window on the street. His wife Anne is said to have hated that. The museum's curator has put it carefully. What people remembered was, in her words, an unhealthy relationship with the doll. After Gene's death, the house sold. Myrtle Reuter owned Robert for the next 20 years, and when she moved across town, the doll moved with her. In 1994, she gave him to the museum, saying, by the museum's own account, that the doll moved around her house on its own, that it was haunted. A local reporter who saw the doll in those years described the feeling, as the museum retells it, of something listening. A donated doll and a second-hand haunting. What happened next is the part no one calls supernatural, and it explains the letters. At the museum, the ritual took shape around him. The alarmed case, the photograph rule, a birthday tradition, October 25th, which is, as it happens, the documented birthday of Gene Otto himself. The modern celebration honors the doll on the boy's date. Visitors began reporting cameras and phones failing in front of the case. Skeptics note that batteries die everywhere. Here, a dead battery gets remembered. Television found him. Horror films carried the name far beyond Key West. And one kind of evidence kept growing the whole time. Not sightings, letters. The museum keeps them and displays them around the case. Official material says they still arrive daily. In that 2015 interview, the curator counted 1 to 3 a day, over 1,000 cataloged. One visitor wrote to apologize for filming without asking permission first. Another wrote that after her visit, everything went wrong, and she knew why. Read enough of them and a pattern emerges, and it doesn't need anything supernatural to work. Once a visitor knows the rule, ordinary misfortune afterward can start to feel connected. The apology gets written, the museum preserves the letter, and the letter up on that wall becomes evidence for the next visitor that the rule matters. The museum preserves the letters preserve the fear. Which leaves the question the museum itself openly leaves to you. Asked directly whether Robert is haunted, the curator who reads his mail gave the honest answer on record. I don't know. I really don't. Maybe that's the right place to stand. Decades of belief accumulating one envelope at a time. Folklore you can hold in your hand. Whether Robert ever moved is unproven. What he moves people to do is not. So be honest with me. You're at the case, camera in hand. Do you ask permission first? Tell me below, and tell me why. Next week in the vault, the Greenbrier Ghost, a West Virginia murder case remembered for testimony attributed to a ghost. Shadow Files Vault. Subscribe if you're not afraid to listen.